part you all understand. But I'd like to give you my point of view because I come from back east. And the word Yankee has a lot of different meanings. People think of it as an American, Yankee Doodle Dandy, or in our Civil War, there was the damn blue belly Yankee, and that was the Northerners as compared with the Southerners. But if you come from back east, the Yankee means something very specific. It's somebody from New England. That's Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Connecticut. Those are the Yankees. And Frank is from both Massachusetts and Maine, so he claims legitimate Yankees. And the Yankees back east, of course, back east, people from Maine are called people from Downey. Downeysters. Some of his poems are about Maine. The Yankees back there have a specific kind of personality traits that are attributed. They're very frugal, which leads me to the other word that I think describes Frank well, that's laconic. Laconic is to be a person of few words, but those words are carefully chosen, and you can say a great deal with those few words. Frank's not a wordy person; he's frugal with his phrases, but they say a great deal. So I think that he's chosen a good sobriquet for himself, and I know you're all looking forward to hearing Frank Kearns.
Thank you very much, Lorraine. I want to thank the Downey Arts Coalition for kicking off any number of arts activities, the Art of the Vine, poetry readings, starting about a year and a half ago, and a lot has come out of that. It's pretty amazing now in Downey. You don't have time to go to all of the arts events. I mean, the week is full, and some of us have to work, so we have to skip half of them. I mean, it's just a crazy thing. And I want to thank the State Gallery for allowing us to have this space. Also want to thank Lorraine for keeping this poetry alive. And on a more personal note, she pretty much kick-started or restarted my poetry. I don't know how many years ago, and I don't want to confess, but she brought a number of people together and got the writing again. Many of us had stopped, and she's been trying to get folks to do better and better, raise the quality of what they do. So anyway, thank you very much. Okay, I am from New England. That does, inform is a much overused word these days. Everybody's using the word inform, but it does inform my poetry. I'm somewhat of a Yankee. I'm also a son of Irish immigrants, so don't tell me Yankee, please, because Irish immigrants are not really Yankees. But anyway, so my book, Circling Venice, is about my journey from New England to Venice, California. I like to write about a lot of things. I'm a little, frankly, embarrassed to write about myself, but one of my mentors, David St. John, who's a pretty well-known poet, said the hardest things to write about are the things that have been most meaningful in your life. And this coming from New England to Venice was a singular moment in my life. It pretty much changed my whole direction. I met Carol, my wife, and how I wound up in Downey after that, I'm not totally sure. So, let me read a New England poem. The Porch. We play on the porch, our island, washed clean by gentle air and splattered rain. Rails hold off the endless space. The porch receives our footsteps, our brief moment. The porch stands still, long empty days, slowly cooling nights, passing cats, furtive raccoons, remembered in raised nail heads and lifting flakes of paint. have to clap after each one, but I do appreciate it. I don't know what many of you know about New England. I know that in the 3rd grade or the 4th grade they taught the Pilgrims and all that kind of thing. Well, as young boys back there, we don't really worry much about the Pilgrims. They kind of screwed up and were helped out and didn't repay the folks that helped them out very well. But, you know, young boys are interested in railroads and airplanes and hunters and ships, and that was one of the things that I was really interested in. This poem is called Tea Time. Across the Foochow Harbor, workers rush to load the first tea of the season, sleek ships waiting at the dock. The breeze stirs. High in the air, limp canvas panels fill and take shape, straining against spars. The masts pull forward, tugging on their stays. 2 ships begin to move. Tea time. Long, narrow lance bows plowing forward across the South China Sea into the rolling waves of the Indian Ocean, taping and aerial together, rising up and free in the troughs round the Cape of Good Hope, dipping down to greet the next wall of water, no quarter given, every inch of canvas set, ocean bubbling in their wakes off the African coast. Neck and neck up the channel to London, taping first to the dock on the rising tide, 90 days out. Tea time. Ladies sit at tables in the shade, sipping from the delicate porcelain cups. The garden air brings the scent of flowers and the sound of birds in the distant trees, while stately ships with clouds of sail vanish in the mist. But for young boys who memorize each sailor line, who in their dreams can feel the decks move beneath their feet, the ships will always be the thing that mattered, and images of towering sails will make their hearts beat fast. Tea time. This is called California Dream. In the New York and San Francisco, rooms filled with smoke as the beat poets worked the magic with alcohol-fueled inspiration. Well, in my corner of the world, there was snow in winter or softball games in the church parking lot as the lights softened on a summer evening. And always the woods, hilly, laced with decaying stone walls, blades of sunshine, pockets of cool dark. And in our damp cellar in December, if everybody had an ocean floating on the AM radio. Cars were the way out. My closet filled with hot rod magazines before I could even drive. Pages filled of dripping chrome, metal flake paint, sunny top-down California cars. 2 long, low dragsters poised at the starting line for internationals. Mountains in the background. A place called Pomona. Men in shirt sleeves and sun. Around the corner on a brilliant July day, on the old road past our wooded yard, a bright red Triumph sports car, gleaming. Neighbor's older brother driving. Shirtless, dark tan, back from California. We'll all be planning out a route. I folded over the Time magazine to a picture of a dozen long-haired boys and girls at a stop sign in Santa Barbara, captured with their thumbs out, and started the car. You know, Robert Frost was a famous New England poet, and he wrote a poem, The Road Less Taken? Less Traveled, there you go. I looked at that 14 times. But anyway, that poem describes, you know, a thoughtful contemplation of which road to take in life. Some of us, our roads, you know, were given to us in a little bit more random fashion, and this poem is about that. Landing. Hornets buzz in the dry mountain air as the ink of the Los Angeles Angeles Times apartment ads blackens the tips of fingers and thumbs. Fingers move slowly back and forth, trying to work the dowsing rod magic on the city map spread on the campground table, leading me to a place where afternoon light spills crimson through cracked window panes from the sun over Venice Boulevard, where feet climb 2 flights of steps above the musty storefront beat poet's haunt, smelling of pamphlets and old chapbooks and mimeograph fluid in the back room, where the embers of Ginsberg dimly glow between liquor stores and junk shops, where the TV drones Watergate while Hendrix blares on the radio and chants of free Venice drift from the canals, and the singe of Vietnam tear gas smoke work and pull at the loose ends of dreams. I'm going to step away from my book for just a little bit. When I came out to the Southwest, I've been fascinated by the fractures and fault lines in the geography, but also the fractures and fault lines of our cultures, and even in our own individual, personalities and beings. So I'll read a couple of poems that deal with that. This is called Nothing in Blue Gap. There's nothing in Blue Gap. The air moves through the creosote sage. The plain slopes upward toward a range of ridges miles away. Joey's shack is off the road, reached by a rutted driveway, where a ceremonial circle of stumps guard a firewood pile. In the distance, 100 sheep graze. They know to come back at night to the old sheep pen of quartered logs, grayed and cracked with age. A mile up a dirt road are the remnants of winter camp, where the wind blows the grasses clear of ice and drifting snow, where his mother as a child stood guard against the coyotes and slept with the sheep through the long, cold nights. She left for California, a quest that became an exile, the anchors of children and chains of money and an old leafy loom in her living room. At night she dreams of the sunset light, the gap between the ridges, blue-gray in the distance, and the emptiness that Joey felt when he headed east, past Flagstaff to a place that pulled at his bones. As the sun slants low, the wind is the only sound that moves across the mesa. At this place, Blue Gap, that makes no claim on the map of Arizona. This is called Western Cooking. Her presentation finished, she stands before the group, jet black hair, dark business suit, light brown skin, a hint of flush. In the pause, before the first question, the vision is back again. Stream of gold dawn mountain light as Grandpa cracks the Hogan door, rifle in hand in search of fox. Meeting's over, stopped in evening traffic, cell phone blinking as her husband talks. The kids have choir practice, get some takeout on the way, eyes on the car in front. Don't allow the memory of rising mist below the brick red mountain, but most of all, do not allow the smell of fried bread cooking on the open fire. Another poem about one of my favorite people. This poem is called Mike. A small man, sun-brown face, lined and sagging. A man passed out from drink, earphones playing the 1, 2, 3 of the polka. A rail-thin Pollock miner's son, youth spent watching men die of black lung and accidents. A year on a coal chute, enough for him. got a uniform because war in the Solomons was better than Scranton, Pennsylvania. Hard family scars made him harsh and silent. No high school, but algebra books, collections of classics and history. Promoted at every post he was on. A boot camp instructor, chief petty officer, San Diego, California, but still tied to mine towns, trips across the country, the car full of kids, sun rising on the road, one stop at the Mississippi. An old man arriving from a 100-mile drive to help roof a house. A small man, earphones playing, sprawled on the floor, asleep, with no apologies. Okay, I'll get back to the book. This is another poem about a favorite person of mine. And Tristan and Gil, I think, talked at the last poetry reading about their poems being 80% true. And this is 80% true, maybe 85. The con. The hard lines of the prison cell and the convict creed beckoned the subconscious as a light out of the turmoil for an 18-year-old who had wandered through dead-end jobs, plying plywood forms day after day from still warm, sweaty concrete walls, who drank through his paycheck while his girlfriend cursed and everyone was somehow an antagonist, until he seemed to be bounced from pinball bumper back to the spring-loaded piston, then launched again on another wild ride that became a blurry spinning and ringing in his ears, and who wandered, head pounding, down hard concrete sidewalks, looking for a way to stop the noise. Finally, he found solace in jailhouse arithmetic, a favor received as a debt incurred, an allegiance pledged as a bond broken only by death, and jailhouse justice, where a borrowed pack of spokes unpaid could slit a man's throat, and rules were black and white inside. Now dawn was an ex-con. The geometry of living in Mary's Venice bungalow, where the light filtered soft through boutique curtains while she nurtured in life into a small herb garden on Liddy Canal, bought stone ground wheat and gently soothed his hair while his every nerve tingled with agitation. While up and down the alleys, clouds of young men moved in arguments about consensus and the individual, while women playfully passed their fingers across his back as they walked by. The calculus of stepping back and letting go and watching as the egos played out. The balance of giving what he could to her, not knowing what it was he gave, not letting himself take the feel of her warm skin in the early morning and the soft piece of incense floating through the dim living room. The art of letting all this ride and never asking and accounting were mysteries that ate at him. And so he didn't tell her that morning as she poured him coffee and toasted homemade bread that today he'd rob another bank just to get inside. A few of the poems in this book are love poems. Pardon me, I keep thinking this. This is one of them. California orbits. We were comets hurtling in great eccentric orbits, so close in Venice years before, flying fast at periapsis, then speeding off again up Highway 101, distance measured by the plains of Camarillo, speed measured by the beat of the cumbia, the trumpets blaring in sweaty Oxnard bars. Finally, the endless outer reaches, tiny houses by the farm fields of Ventura, searching through Kepler's laws, waiting for gravity or stubbornness or orbital momentum to draw us back again. You count from 1975, I count from an airplane ride on the way to San Francisco, window seat, the clouds bright behind your hair. You count from a chapel in Huntington Park. I count from holding hands again, tighter, like we meant it, stopping each other in mid-flight in the sunshine of the Embarcadero. This poem is about a house that I had the privilege of living in for a couple of years just south of the canals. It's called the Dell House. The large shade tree that darkened the front yard offered solace to restless youths who straggled down the sidewalks and alleyways and opened the creaking gate, blinded at the bullseye center of the counterculture, where restless Midwest runaways, pauper musicians, bikers, authors, old Jewish pensioners, and wizened beat poets crashed in rundown bungalows and bathed in the summer sunlight on sandy beaches. We were bleeding internally. David could feel the blood filling his head from the rat-a-tat of weapons on the nightly evening news. His only relief, fast walks, head down, through long, painful nights, then back to his job at the aerospace plant. And Michael couldn't stop his knee from jumping as he sat. Up and down, the jungle always on his mind. The night he and a single black pajama guy scared the shit out of each other as they locked eyes for an instant and slowly backed their way out. And now his knee kept jumping, and his long blonde hair flowed in heavy waves over his shoulders. And he lived with all these other folks, even though he really didn't like hippies, and he talked of Canada all the time. One roof, kitchen rules, criticism session meeting. One roof, kitchen rules, criticism meetings stolen from Mao that didn't go over too well with Michael, but he sat there and took shit and dished it back to all those who left their breakfast bowls in the sink. And all this resulted in the schedule for cooking dinners and a kitchen devoid of dirty dishes and floors that got swept up now and then. One roof with a passing parade drifted in and out, and we didn't have to leave the house because the world came to us with political perspectives and mystic meditation and sex and friendship and love and alliances and plans for people's parks and food co-ops and layout work for the local paper. Where the world came to us with distractions and temptations, brown sugar blasting in the large back room, bodies, shadows in the dim night, up and down to the driving beat of a Saturday night. The tide ebbed and the stragglers slept on a Sunday morning as we sipped our coffee and spun our narratives, every story full of motion, every path leading here, the timeless instant in the living room, David, Michael, and the rest of us, catching our breath on the way to somewhere. One more love poem. Circling Venice. In the Venice, California of the outdoor junk dealers, when Abbott Kinney Boulevard was still West Washington, and on the boardwalk, old Jewish men on pensions sunned themselves in front row and in front of low-rent hotels. We were on different orbits in a crowded food cooperative, but circling close through a room of flowing hair, patched jeans, and beards. You, the only woman with eyeshadow. A time of Vietnam, and we, still not yet we among our friends, marched with signs in the afternoon sun, then talked in the yard of a commune house on Dell Street past the canals. Young people flowed in and out of crowded beach bungalows and stucco apartments. You lived in a converted garage. I stopped in the alley to visit friends. You said you'd like a ride on my aging motorbike. Your hands circled my waist, your body tight against my back. Circling Venice. I'll read one more. I'd like to end with a poem about more about Downey, more about now, more about the current Los Angeles. This is called the 111 bus. I don't know how many of you pay attention to the buses, but the 111 bus goes along Florence Avenue. There's also the 311, I guess that's the express. The 111 bus starts way over there, and it ends up over here. The 111 bus, Florence Avenue. The 111 bus slices through the layers of Los Angeles and lays bare the sinews and marble muscles of her thighs. City Bus Center, Inglewood, Crenshaw, Western and Vermont, Normandy, acid of anger and hate etched into the intersection. Broadway and Avalon, Central Avenue. Central Avenue, the Black South come to work the heavy metal of the booming Southland and live to sounds of Big Joe Turner, Lionel Hampton, Central Avenue breakdown drifting from the now quiet Dunbar Hotel. Alameda, Santa Fe, Pacific Boulevard, an artery swelling with the post-war white blue-collar California dream, then collapsing with the shuttered factories and boarded up storefronts to fill again with vibrant multicolored horns and guitars, spices, and sweet language of the fruit of the Americas. On through Downey and finally Norwalk, as the tides of people course through the veins and beneath the asphalt, the earth shifts. Take the Metro Green Line for the return trip.
I'm sure that you all were aware, you listened to his poems, that there's a you in those poems. Frank has a muse that he writes these poems for, someone with sunlight in her hair, and she's standing way back there, Carol. So Frank doesn't think he has an accent, but he has just enough, I think, to it's charming, and you know that you can take the boy out of New England, but you can't take New England out of the boy. And Frank's poems are over here for you. If you want to buy some, or let's just talk. The wine is donated, as it was last time too, by Frank and Carol. So just enjoy yourself and talk. Thank you. Yes. I'm not sure exactly, but you're all on my mailing list, the email. If you are not, please come give me your emails. So I will tell you, but it will be the third Thursday, which is March 21st. And this is our host. Did you want to speak a little bit? Okay, this is Val Flores.
I am Valentine Flores. I'm glad you're here, State Gallery. I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. We didn't know what to expect tonight, personally. Last time you guys had an event here, I was a little sick, so I couldn't come, but I heard nothing but great things. So we're very happy to host you guys. We're trying to make this a monthly thing. And so welcome. If you have any questions regarding what we're trying to do as an organization, as a group, as a collective, the main thing we're trying to do is connect not only across generations, but across, if you look around you, the range of people that we have, that's what Downey is, and that's really kind of what we're after, is just getting people together for the arts and culture. So thank you so much for coming out. Question in the back.
No, I'm going to say something. First of all, I did notice you were collective before, after just hearing all that about Venice. Anyway, I want to say that Lorene has done a tremendous job of keeping this going, and it was so difficult struggling with Mari's, their situation, their sad business situation, and she has just done a tremendous job.
I think what as a group, Downey Arts Coalition is awesome. I know he's not here because he's probably dealing with some kids. Andrew Wolquist, he's restless in his efforts, so I know he's not here, but definitely thank him and all the Downey Arts Coalition for everything that they always do.